Hi, I'm Brandon Wells with the Group Real Estate in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I'm making this video today to share with you some of the dangers of wire fraud and email phishing in the real estate industry today. So I'm going to share with you an exact example of how these scams transpire, one that unfortunately happened to us. We did not lose the wire, but I want to use this as a way to educate other brokerages, realtors on how you can identify these and how to protect yourself further. So I'm going to jump right into this example and I'll share with you step by step how it kind of occurs. And at the end, I'll offer some ideas and solutions for how you can protect yourself. The first thing here is that this is an email, a typical phishing email. This is the exact one that we encountered and has been sent around the industry from a lot of different brokerages. And it basically looks legitimate. Graphically, it looks like a DocuSign email. It comes from DocuSign via DocuSign, has a mail to address of dse@docusign.com. And then down below graphically, it has the DocuSign logo and the typical box you see. In the example of this email, it did not have any envelope or any other details about DocuSign here. And I will link below a link to an article that DocuSign has written on how to identify legitimate DocuSign envelopes and emails. In this case, if the realtor clicked on review documents, it would take them to what appeared to be a login page for the DocuSign service. The realtor then enters in their email and password, and lo and behold, they have just transferred all of their credentials to the hacker or phisher in this instance. Now, once in these accounts, they don't always, strike right away. They'll sit in there and they'll find a target. And in this case, I'm showing you a contract that is a $344,000 cash at closing. So we know that a large lump sum of money is going to be transferred at the end of this transaction. Now, once they find these, they basically get to work and they will start to try to get information or build what I'm going to show you next. And this is how they transpire this wire fraud scam. So they know our email address. They basically know our domain is the Group Inc. Maybe for whatever brokerage you guys use a domain. And you typically use an email service that's either provided by Google or Office 365. They can quickly find this out, and you'll watch this on the video here, but they can go in and type in, doing a simple MX record lookup, they can figure out where your email is hosted, and then once they know where it's hosted, they will go directly to the login page for that service, whether it's Google or Office 365. In our case, we're an Office 365 customer, so you guessed it, they went there and they tried the same exact credentials that they had phished from the fake DocuSign email. And a lot of people aren't using complex passwords and for simplicity are using the same password for everything. They've just granted them access to the email very simply. Once they get into the email, they now have a target. They know who they want to go after. They will set up a rule that states anytime this buyer emails to this realtor, skip the inbox. So that avoids any sort of notification on the smartphone or any notice that that email actually was received, and they'll put it into a folder like notes or some other hidden folder. Now, once they do that, they'll then go set up forwarding rules. And they'll set up a rule that says anytime a piece of email is received in this inbox, forward it off to the hacker or the phisher's email account. So you can go and change your password as many times as you want, but if you don't look at that forwarding rule, they're automatically getting every piece of email correspondence you're receiving. And later on in the road, that becomes more dangerous because they know where you shop, where all your accounts are, whether they're financial accounts, your health savings accounts, your IRAs, any of that stuff now becomes very vulnerable because they inevitably will start to go and use the same credentials to try to access those accounts as well. But back to this example, once they have all of this set up, they are ready to strike. They have the transaction that they want to go after. They now can communicate out of the email because they have access to it. And they've set up a rule that says if this buyer responds to an email correspondent, skip the inbox so the realtor doesn't know. So in this case, I'm going to share with you, here's the exact attempt, the email that was sent. It came from the realtor for all intents and purposes because it's from the realtor's account, has their signature, has their name, but it really was from the hacker or the phisher. And it states this: to avoid closing delay, you are to wire closing funds to the title company today. Reply to this email to confirm receipt so I can provide wiring instructions. Now, they respond, and then it obviously goes into that hidden folder, and then the hacker starts conversing with what is the buyer. To add influence to this, though, remember back they have access to the DocuSign account. Most realtors, as a common practice, are CCing the title company and the mortgage company on these transactions. So essentially, they know the email accounts and the names of who all is involved. So they want to add influence to this scam. In our example, they went and sent an email. It was spoofed. They did not get into the account for the mortgage company, but it appeared like it came from the mortgage company. And it said, to avoid closing delay, you're to wire closing costs to the title company this morning. Please reply to this email to confirm receipt so I can provide wiring instructions. The account provided previously is under routine review. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much. And to add even more insult, they use the default iPhone signature of sent from my iPhone. On a separate subject, go and change that if that's your default email signature from your iPhone. So now they've added influence. The buyer has received this email from the realtor as well as the mortgage company. You could see how easily somebody would fall victim to this, and then they wire the funds to an incorrect wiring account, and never to be seen from again are those funds. So that's very scary stuff. It's happening across our industry every single day. I cannot tell you how many people I have run across that have experienced this in some form or fashion, and I want to offer you some solutions of how you can work to protect yourself, your customers, and your brokerage. So let's go through this. The first thing is most email providers offer two-step authorization, a two-factor authentication. What this means is instead of just requiring a password to access email, it will also require something that gets sent to you to verify your identity. And in this case, we utilize two-step verification using text message. So if a hacker knows the email, that's the email password, that's fine. Well, it's not really fine, but they also need to have the 6-digit code that gets texted to the agent's smartphone. And a lot of times that's too many layers. They go to the lowest hanging fruit and they move on from this target. So if you have not enabled two-factor authentication for your email system, I highly advise you do so immediately. The second thing I'll talk about is secure password management. The reason people are using the same password for everything is out of convenience or laziness, and that is the low-hanging fruit in this instance. You have essentially made a key that opens as many doors to your life as possible, and it becomes very dangerous. Once they get into one, they systematically can start to open all the doors to your life for other financial accounts and so on. So there's really great applications out there that can help with this. I recommend checking out LastPass. I personally use a program called 1Password, and that's the number 1 and then password. And you can go and do a search and find these secure password management applications or software. The third one is talking about complex passwords. A lot of people are using something very simple for their passwords, and you need to utilize 8 characters or more, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special characters. Make them complex because it is really simple for hackers to brute force their way into simple passwords that you might have set up. So I encourage you to make those more complex. The next thing is read emails carefully. A lot of people are in the heat of transactions. They're just basically running through their emails as fast as they can. Slow down, read the emails, make sure you're reading who they're from, the addresses they're from. Look for things like links. If you click on a link and it takes you to a place to log in, please close that down and go to that service directly and log in under your own intention. Don't allow somebody else to drive you to a login page. Attachments, if you're getting PDFs or other attachments and you're not expecting them, do not open them. There is a lot of issues with ransomware and other things being installed on computers from malicious attachments. The last thing I'll say is language. Look at the sentence structure, the misspellings, things not making sense in the email, verbiage that only a realtor would use, such as referral. No buyer references their transaction as a referral, so look out for signs like that. The next thing I'll say is confirm wire and bank account information over the phone, voice to voice, or in a face-to-face setting. If you are transmitting wiring instructions or bank account instructions via electronic delivery, whether it's email or text message, I recommend you stop immediately and put into place a protocol that says only time we will convey that information is via voice to voice over the phone or face-to-face in person. The last thing I'll say is have up-to-date antivirus and malware protection. Make sure your computer is protected. I'm going to give you some additional resources down below. I'm going to provide a link to a good friend, Tom Flanagan at Alon Pinnell. He's written a wonderful article on protecting yourself from these wire fraud scams and some of the things that I've outlined here. You can go check that out at realestatethings.net, and it's linked below. I also have provided links to the National Association of Realtors video that talks about wire fraud, how to protect yourself, and what to do if you're caught in these situations, as well as some resource videos that you can give to buyers. If you as a brokerage have not implemented a document sheet that goes over disclosure or information about the dangers of wire fraud, it's something that we obviously are doing right now and making sure that our customers are educated on the dangers of these wire fraud scams. So I hope you found some value in this video. I know it's a little long-winded, but it's very important, and hopefully you can protect your realtors, your brokerage, and the customers that you service. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and I appreciate your time.